Well, the current wave of revolution started when a Tunisian guy who, I mean, this is the direct spark. A Tunisian guy who was, he's a university graduate but couldn't find a job, so he decided to buy groceries and sell them on the street. Because this is an illegal practice in Tunisia, the police came and took his groceries. So he got very frustrated and angry and said, okay, I cannot take it anymore, and he lit himself on fire. This act has inspired people to go down on the streets. Of course, there were so many conditions that made this tipping point a tipping point, and it's not one reason, but it's many reasons. One thing we've realized is that it's not the economical situation. Economical situation, of course, did play a part, but it's more of the people wanting to live in dignity, in justice, in freedom, and they couldn't tolerate anymore the oppressive regimes in their countries. This happened. This kind of revolution happened, for example, in Lebanon in 2006 after they killed Prime Minister Rafi al-Hariri, when spontaneously millions of people started gathering in Beirut in what was known the Cedar Revolution. And it did create a lot of change, but it wasn't duplicated in other countries because I think the Arab perceived that Lebanon was a free state and you could protest. But when it happened in Tunisia, it was a different thing because Tunisia had an oppressive regime and people were scared, and then all barriers to fear were broken, which made other people living in a similar regime say, yeah, why not us? And then everyone started wanting to do revolutions in different countries, and we really got we now actually, I don't know where are revolutions happening. As an organization, a part of civil society, we want to support these revolutions, and we are now lost which embassy we should go and protest in front to support all those revolutions. And we actually were talking to people that we really need to organize the revolutions, have them one after the other. And not only for us to know which one to support, but actually we're afraid that one revolution can take the attention from another revolution and lead to its failure. So obviously, and what's special about these revolutions and why it is in this situation is that because there's no leaders. All of the revolutions happening in the Arab region has no leaders. There is a lot of organization and networking, but without any specific leader. It's a very unique type of peaceful revolutions. All the revolutions started peacefully. The one in Libya has evolved into a more violent, where both sides are using weapons now, which the reason for that is self-explanatory. When the regime tries to bomb the protesters, either the protesters have to go home or carry arms. But the essence of all protest is a non-violent protest. It's a Gandhi type of protest, but without a Gandhi. It's something that we believe is very inspiring, not only for the youth in the region, but to all human society. I think it gives us a lost faith that maybe, because we haven't seen this kind of revolution in a long time, it gives us faith in humanity again, and that people still matter. Like I said, there should be some kind of conditions for the success of these revolutions, and one of them was that most of the mobilization happened through social media. All of them have been mobilized by youth who are connected to these social media. So it is interesting, although the reason that's been publicized by the media that it's because of economical conditions, very poor people in the region don't have internet. So it's actually the middle class that has created this revolution. And all our partners from NGOs that we work with from across the region come from the middle class, and they were the people on the ground and that we were coordinating with and checking on how things are going. So it, like I said, it wasn't about money, and it's about justice, and all classes were working together. They were using social media as a primary tool for mobilization, but of course, just the news that they're on the streets has prompted other people who are not on the web and not on the internet to mobilize. It, I think the exposure to the global world has encouraged the youth who never lived under a different ruler. Most of them, they had the same regime living under. So where did they get this idea of democracy and freedom? They got it through the exposure to the global world, and of course, there has been a lot of initiatives to initiate civil society, but what we've learned from this, that we NGOs, we are not civil society. We're institutions, and civil society is actually the individuals that are down there. So I think social media was necessary in this specific revolutions, because mass media is under the control of the regimes, so they can never use it to coordinate and network and inform each other when they're going to be on the streets. That's why the regimes where there were revolutions, they try to shut down internet or the mobile network, because they also used SMS to inform each other. But still, this did not work. Although it was tough, for example, in Egypt for a few weeks, networking happens in mysterious ways, I guess, and they were able to organize. I think it became part of the habit, that faith that there will be people in Tahrir Square, so we go down there, others are going to be there. And this is what happened. I think the main thing that is pushing this forward is losing all fear. Why would protesters go down in Libya knowing that the regime is using fighter planes to shoot them down? I can't think of a reason other than that we are not afraid anymore. And this is something very inspiring. We don't know where these revolutions gonna go and when they will end. There is definitely a lot of oppressive regimes still in the region, from the Gulf countries to the Near East to still in North Africa like Morocco, Algeria, Syria, Saudi Arabia, even Greater Middle East, Iran. And why stick in the Arab world? Why doesn't it go to other countries in Africa? Everywhere where there's a need for change, it should go there. And we are seeing signs of it happening. We get reports, but I think the world has changed because of these revolutions, and doesn't have necessarily to be as physical as change in a regime, but also in people's belief in themselves. I think now every ruler in the world will realize that no matter how much control he has, Gaddafi has the strongest control over his people, still the people matter. And people around the world now realize that they matter, and if they get oppressed, they can do something about it. I think this is a very important change that happened, that no one can take it back. The revolutions will have an impact on a lot of causes, not only climate change. Every cause now can learn a lot from these revolutions. There is a direct link between the revolutions and climate change, because the Arab region, is the main source of fossil fuel oil. Saudi Arabia is the biggest exporter. Then you had Libya, you have many other countries. The revolution in Libya has already pushed the price of oil to 120. And if the same thing happens in Saudi Arabia and other GCC countries, the price of oil can go, the barrel can go to 400, 500. We don't know exactly, but this should be looked at as an opportunity, but it also can be a threat. A threat in a sense that the revolutions might be oppressed or dampened by international pressure out of fear of high oil prices. I can imagine a lot of Western countries would not want Saudi Arabian regime to fall, and would not want the people there to be free and women to have more rights, just because they are afraid of losing their oil supply, and this would be a shame. It's also a threat because countries might want to go more into fossil fuel type of fuels that are not economically attractive when the oil prices are low, such as shale oil and very far away oil wells. But it's also an opportunity for countries to realize that depending on a limited resource for energy, like fossil fuels, will never achieve energy security, and our only sustainable long-term energy security is renewable energy and energy efficiency. Definitely what's happening is a big moment of history. I cannot imagine anything more important or to humanity as a humanity than what's happening in here. Even if you think about ending World War II or World War One, it was governments acting and the conventional wars. What's happening has changed the theory behind mass movement and change, because it's very unique. Like I said, no leaders, spontaneously, and individuals just had this collective feeling of wanting to mobilize. And I think no one can afford not to do something about it. I think we all should do something about it. As an NGO that's been focusing on climate change and social issues like women's rights and other stuff, now we're trying to see how we can support the revolutions as much as possible. We changed our mandate. It's not about now our organization or an institution. There's something much bigger happening related to humanity as a whole, and we need to try to make it a success as much as possible. We can only hope that we'll be able to help in some way, because as it looks, the people don't need anyone's help. Although Mubarak was supported at some point by the US, Europe, and many, many leaders around the world, especially in the region, the Gulf, tried as much as possible to support Mubarak. The people didn't care and didn't need anyone's help, and they won at the end. So we can hope that we can help, because this is what we want, and maybe create the revolutions in our situation, because I think every country needs a revolution of one kind or another. It could be to change climate policy, or to change the regime, or anything out there, but we need to learn from them and try to create and be as inspiring and successful as the people in the region.